Okay, so we are now on page 17, and we're talking about rules during the match while you're inside home. So we talked about this already, but just as a reminder, home is split into two areas. So each home area has its own launch area. Home on the left, home on the right, launch area on the left, launch area on the right. When the robot, equipment, and mission models are completely within their home area. So remember, the home area includes this black rectangle. It also includes the launch area. So as long as it is completely within those two parts of the map, the technicians can touch the robot at any time. So as long as it is completely in that area. Now you say, okay, well, what if we're in this situation? So here's our field. Here's a home area. Here's a home area, launch area, launch area. If my robot is right there, I'm allowed to touch it, no problem. If my robot is right there, I'm allowed to touch it, no problem. If my robot is right there, I'm allowed to touch it, no problem. If my robot is right here, I can't touch it because it's not in home. If my robot is right here, I can't touch it because it's not completely in the home area. So that's what this rule is saying is you are not allowed to use your hands on the robot, the equipment, or the mission models unless they are completely in the home area. So if you've got a robot that's like this, but it's got an attachment that's doing this where it's still sticking in, can't touch it. That's not allowed. If you've got a robot that's right here that has an attachment that goes to there and it's dragging something, well, now you've got a problem because the something it's dragging isn't in the home area. So Rule 13 would apply in that situation as well. So let's keep that in mind. What are some other things the technician can't do? You can't hand anything from one home area to the other. So you've got a home area here, and you've got a home area here. You can get things from here to here via the robot, but the technician can't send things over, and they can't hand things over either. What else can't they do? They can't touch anything outside of the home area. So if it's outside the home area, you can't touch it. Now, the exception to this is the robot. You can touch the robot when it's outside the home area if you are interrupting it. Now, I say can, you're allowed to, but that could incur a penalty. So keep that in mind. You are also not allowed to cause anything to move or extend outside this area except for launching the robot. So what do we mean by that? If you have a mission model, this green dot here, and you just push it out and send it rolling onto the mat, that is not allowed. If you, on the other hand, have your robot in the launch area and you push the button on the robot to make it go, that's okay. So that's what this is saying, is the only thing that you can make leave this area is the robot through a launch. And so the way they get you there, points scored in these ways will not count. So if you're trying to do this to skirt the rules, points won't count, and the referees are watching for that. So when you're launching the robot, so the robot is in the home area, you're ready, it's in the launch area, it's not in home, right? So if that's the second bullet point right here. Actually, we'll note that real quick. The robot and anything it is about to move must fit completely inside the launch area. So if I were to go about this and I had my robot looking like this, that is an illegal launch. I can't launch that because it's in the home area. It's not completely in the launch area. Likewise, if I had my robot like this, right? I've got that one little piece hanging out onto the mat. I can't launch that because it's not in the launch area. Finally, if I were to have my robot like this, I could launch it. It's completely in the launch area. It's not hanging over into the home rectangle, and it's not hanging off into the mat. When it's like this, I am allowed to launch it. In addition, though, you got to keep something in mind. You can't keep anything from moving. So you can't have your hands on it being like, okay, steady, 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 and go. So the robot has to be completely still, and then you press the button and it goes. If the referee sees either of these conditions when you're trying to launch, they will put their clipboard down, put their hand in the way. They will not let your robot launch. And so that's the penalty there, is that if they see that happening, they will block you from launching. And so it will eat up time that you have very little of. So it's very important when you're up there to launch that you're paying attention to, is the robot still and is it completely in a launch area? And again, I want to stress this. It's completely inside the launch area, not a home area, a launch area. So that's applying these quarter circles, not the quarter circle plus the rectangle. And then finally, after any launch, so this applies to any launch, the technician should allow the robot and anything it's in contact with to return completely into home before interrupting it. So if the robot's driving along and it's coming back from mission, right? It's out here and it's heading home and it gets to right here and you touch it. All right? That counts as an interruption, and we'll talk more about that in the section on rules outside of home. You don't want to do that. You want to let that robot get completely in the home area. And again, the home area, remember, is the rectangle and the launch area. So it is perfectly okay for that robot to end up right here, and then you grab it. That's okay. As long as it's completely in a home area, which again includes the 2 rectangles and the 2 quarter circles. That's when it's okay to touch it. Knowing the inside home rules is important because it will inform when you're looking at the outside of home rules. So in the next section, we're going to look at the during the match rules for outside the home area.